Yes, next speaker is 3286, Fiona Teep on page 34.
Well done. Misty, I see you there. Thank you. If you care to take yourself off mute. Welcome to the hearing. Thank you very, very much for your submission. We have read it, as indeed we've read them all. And you've got the next 10 minutes to tell us what your highlights are and what you want us to consider. So all yours from now.
Thank you. And I thank everyone and appreciate everyone's time. I'm new to Temahiri. I've just moved here actually 5 weeks ago. And basically there is a really lovely community of dog owners that come together in the mornings around 8 o'clock as we drop off the children. It has been, the space allocated, which I've seen, is too small. We had about 8 dogs together this morning with owners, and which was in a similar sort of, they got together quite close, and, when dogs run and bits and pieces, they need their space. And that space basically is too small, and it is just very close to the road on that side. So, there's 2 very good reasons there. To be able to go in before affects anyone before 9 o'clock, that the dogs can play freely. It gives them the opportunity to socialize, which is very important for a dog's life too. And all the people that I know of, we're there with our dog bags. If anything poops, everything is scooped up, because we know it's a privilege to be able to take our dogs down there, and that we want to continue it. And therefore, the dogs are, they're either on lead or they have a time together where they can all socialize, but they just really enjoy having that larger space, which enables them to play freely. And and I guess as a new dog owner, I've been through the vet courses with and I know all the owners there are very diligent about the behavior of their dogs, and they're always looking out for new dogs and meeting new people. So it's actually, from my aspect, I've just moved here, as I said, it was just as important socially for me as well, to meet people. And but it's more of the point is, you can walk around that area, and it's a lot better for the dogs to have that movement while they play, because otherwise, if they're in one small area, as I said before, they can get agitated. So yes, that's.
Oh, that's very, very clear. Thank you. And I noticed you made a comment in your submission. Was it suggesting times for the park? Yeah. So would it be fair to say most people are either before in the morning or after work? Is that?
Yes. But honestly, it's like, as we know, this summer has been so hot, and it works because a lot of the mothers, drop off the children, or they're hopping on the bus to wherever else, or people are about to start work. So that time between 8 and 9, or to 9:30, but most of us finish at 9. Then that's fantastic. I don't actually walk in the evening, but some people do, and just like regulated times at a beach, a recreational area, it's a very similar situation. But yeah, it has become, it is a community area, so it would be great if we can continue that. It would be extremely sad if we weren't able to continue that for the friendships we've created with the people, and and also the friendships that the dogs have created, and this is their happiness too.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the submitter? Councillor Wallerton, is that your hand up? Oh, that is your hand up. Good. Councillor Wallerton.
Yeah, so sorry. Now, those times, are you talking about off leash or are you talking about walking your dog? Just as a curiosity.
So it's a combination. We generally have the dogs on leash as we go past the playground. We generally go up towards the trees or, going to the middle of the park and let them go. And so, yeah, so I would say, to be able to socialise dogs, you have to have them off the leash.
Right.
That's when they get their proper run and play.
Indeed. Thank you. No other questions? Thank you very much for taking the time to put in your submission, and thank you also for finding the time to talk to us. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Ms. Clark.
Our next speaker is 3266 Jeffrey Henderson on page 71.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Henderson. Oh, great. Very experienced at taking yourself off mute. Well done. Thank you for your submission, which we've read. Next 10 minutes, just give us the highlights and the things you want us to consider.
Yeah, I just want to say we're a frequent user of the park down there at Tiawa Road. I just think it's an incredible amenity that we have in the area. We never go there and it's covered in graffiti or got rubbish or vandalism or anything like that. I think the cost to council would be pretty minimal to maintain it as it is. And it's just so ideal, the size, the location, for the local community. And I just think it'd be an absolute wrong move to either basically uproot it and let dogs run freely there. So yeah, I just wanted to express very strongly that I wouldn't want a dog running area there in place of what's there, which is fantastic as it is.
So you're saying families plus food plus small children playing isn't really a good match?
Yeah, so it's perfect for us. We take a picnic down, in the summer evenings. There's so many shade trees there. You get it already. A couple of people show up every now and then with a dog, and they let it off, and sure, it runs wild, and not everyone loves other people's dogs coming up to them. And when you're there with food, and dogs don't go well, dog poo, dog smells, dogs licking, whatever. But
your preference is the Tamahiri, by the Tamahiri Hall Reserve.
Well, of the two, yeah, anywhere but here, basically. I never see people having picnics or whatnot at the Tamahiri Hall there. And if it's such a big area, they could basically go anywhere.
Look, that's extraordinarily clear. Thank you. And I don't believe there's any questions. I think you've made your point. You've made it clearly. You've made it succinctly. Congratulations.
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Clark.
Our next speaker is 3187 Amanda Banks on page 109.
Hello, Ms. Banks. Oops, gone again. Hello, back again. And yes, no, you've settled now you've settled down, I think. Where have you gone on my screen? No, you've disappeared again altogether. That was a very, very brief visit. Can we retrieve her, please, Ms. Clark? Right, so you're still on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. I think I probably said hello and then left.
You did it was very fleeting, I must say. It was probably the shortest submission in the history of short submissions. Look, welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. We have read your submission and its attachment. So you've got 10 minutes. Just give us the highlights that you want us to consider. Thank you.
Sure. Well, yeah, kia ora koutou, everyone. No doubt you're sort of at I think day 3, some pretty long days. Certainly an exercise in patience for you. I almost wondered about a quick game of Simple Simon just to sort of wake you up in the afternoon, but didn't know if I'd be remembered, well or not if I did that. There you go, I've got a couple of smiles, so that's good enough. So yeah, thank you for letting me speak to my submission. And I just also want to mention too that the process for making the submission and getting onto Zoom and the staff contact that has been had in terms of here's the link, this is what you need to do, here's the agenda items, was really fantastic. So I know that we're all figuring this stuff out, but yeah, your staff have done a really great job with that.
Good to hear.
So I'm not going to be commenting really on aspects of the bylaw that you've had quite a lot of feedback on, I think, which is the number of dogs. I had a really brief read through some of the submissions, and there's some great submissions there that will no doubt give you lots to think about with that. So really what I'm concerned with is the new dog exercise areas that are proposed for Tamahere, the 2 options that you consulted on. So hopefully as you mentioned, you've read my submission. I oppose the dog exercise park being made at Te Awa Reserve and support the option at Tamahere Park. So I've sort of spelled out in my submission that, so I live on Te Awa Road. I walk lots of different times of the day and quite often see dogs and their dog owners out. Sometimes they have kids with them, sometimes they don't. There's all sorts of doggos, all sorts of people, and we've been here, well, my family's property for 30 years. Myself and my partner have been here for 7, and in all my time of walking the road, never really seen a dog who's been a problem at all. Most of the time I've asked them if I can pet their dogs, and they come up to me and give them a pat, and off they go. Same with down at Te Awa Reserve, is that all the dogs that I've seen down there are all really well behaved. The owners are very aware that there are children around. There's also horses and cats and chickens and other dogs and all sorts. So dog owners that use the park seem to be pretty responsible and take their role as dog owners quite seriously. I think too with Te Awa Reserve, it's a really great little sort of quite a small pocket park, and it functions really well as a place for people to just have those little human interactions that we have. Hi, cute dog. Hey, how's it going? How about this weather? And just those little social interactions that are really important, and equally too for people who don't have dogs, or families, so older folks who might not have a lot of people to talk to, particularly during COVID, is that, we see that people are just able to have those small interactions, and it's a really great little park for that. I also talked about how that if the dog park, if it was going to be fenced down at Te Awa Reserve, it would sort of have the effect of fencing off the whole area for anyone apart from dog users. And so in that sense, it will kind of limit the park to, it'll reduce the usage of that park, which is really why I'm opposed to that, is that it functions really well as a little community park. And I think it would, putting a fence around it would sort of make it feel like this is for dog owners only. Like, I don't think people would go in and have picnics in there. And if that's just a walkway alongside, that's probably not going to be a particularly pleasant place to have a picnic. I also talked about the vision and strategy for the Waikato River, which talks about access for both Māori and non-Māori to the river. So there's a really nice little walk down there which is very obvious when you turn up to the park. You just keep walking straight through the park, and that takes you down to the river. Again, I think if that was fenced off, it would sort of create a visual barrier that would make it quite difficult for people to connect to the river, even though there would still, the proposal says that there would still be access. Yeah, the vehicle movements as well, and I had a conversation with Keith, I can't remember his last name, but he's a chap down the way who did a submission as well, and did a great submission, talked about vehicle movements and things. So the option at Tamaheri Reserve is, I think, a much better option. You've got parking already there, you've got good access for people from Matangi and Taupari, and across the broader region. So I think that would fit well. And lastly, just the principles of consultation I mentioned is that from what I understand from Keith, it was only dog owners in the area that were consulted about this, whereas the removal of the playground was something that was floated in that proposal. And so I would have thought that would have had quite a big impact on families with young children, and that really it probably should have been consulted on, letters sent not just to dog owners in the area, but to householders throughout that area, so that you're getting a good assessment of the pros and cons. So that just might be something to keep in mind, that you might want to do more about. I understand that this will be consulted on through the next long-term plan for funding for either park, so that might be a good step as well. So I'll probably, so again, support the option of the creation of the fenced dog park at Tamaheri Park, oppose Te Awa Reserve being a fenced dog park. I'll probably leave it there because short and sweet is good, and happy to take any questions.
Look, thank you very much. That was short, it was very sweet, it was also very clear. Thank you for that. I don't know that there's any questions for you. I think you've made the point very clearly as to where you stand. And also it's nice to have that anecdotal evidence of somebody watching the interactions and who actually walks that themselves. So that was helpful. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
Okay,
it.
great. Oh, thanks very much for the time.
Thank you.
Okay, see you later.
Ms. Clark, are we short of submitters?
There was a submitter in the waiting room, but now she's left. I'm just going to give her a quick call and see where she is.
Okay, Matt, do you want to just